Thank you, Kent. You can leave my papers here. That way I'll be able to do this. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here, Bishop. We appreciate it. As Kent mentioned, we are members of the St. John Vianney Haiti Committee. I'd like to introduce Ann Wester and Mike Loss, who are kind of the core of that committee, for lack of a better term. And we have at St. John Vianney a twinning relationship with Our Lady of the Rosary in Jean-Denis, Haiti. And through that committee correspondence, we learned of the One Table, Many Partners conference in Washington, D.C. The Catholic Relief Services Conference was to deal specifically with our work in Haiti. And when I say our, I mean Catholic groups throughout the United States. Catholic Relief Services' objective is to get us all on the same page with respect to any kind of mission work that we're doing in Haiti. There were folks at the conference from all over the country, though I think most of the people were probably from the eastern half of the United States. I'm not sure, were we the furthest west? Iowa might have been the furthest west at the conference. And there were many from Haiti, a lot of folks there from Haiti, including 6 bishops. There are 10 dioceses in the country of Haiti, so having 6 bishops, lots of priests, lots of folks from Haiti was very good representation. Although the conference dealt specifically with Haiti, a lot of what Kathy and I learned in the classroom settings could be applied to twinning and missioning in general. And as Kent mentioned, that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. So we'd like to summarize those breakout sessions that we went to that are not necessarily specific to Haiti, but are kind of specific to the whole partnership and missioning in general. And what we'd like to cover today are twinning relationships as defined by the Catholic Relief Services and their partner organizations, short-term missions, and those two are very closely related, and then micro-enterprises within our partner communities. And again, not necessarily specific to Haiti, but we're going to refer to some of the things that we're doing at Jean-Denis, in Jean-Denis, Haiti, just because it's easy reference for us. But many of the parishes, okay, I'm not getting, I had my down arrow, okay, thank you. Many of the parishes in this country are twinned with parishes in third world nations or twinned with parishes right here in the United States in hopes that our solidarity will raise the standard of living in those poor parishes and bring us all closer to Christ through those relationships. Now here in Davenport, we are no strangers to the 2 feet of social action. If you Google 2 feet of social action, Monsignor Mott, it's going to pop up on your computer screen. So everybody in the whole world knows who Monsignor Mott is. Twinning relationships follow this same model. Out of the gate, on the top side there, we want to stop the bleeding. We want to help provide some of the very basics in the communities that we're twinned with. Provide money, provide clothing, provide food. However, most of the focus is on working with the community to affect long-term change, sustainable development of the community. These are the twinning partnership principles as defined by Catholic Relief Services and their partner organizations. And we'll see a lot of these throughout the next half hour or so. But probably the most important thing that, at least the starting, well, the most important thing is that our partnership is built on the spiritual relationship, the belief in Christ that we all have and that we all share. We are there because Christ asked us to be there. That's core, that's number one. The resources, second to the relationship of the resources are everything else. The stuff we do, the money we provide, the food we provide, all that. These principles are in place for all the right reasons, and as we go down the list, ensure coherence with the pastoral plan for the local church. All of us are responsible to our local bishop, and it is no different in Haiti, in Africa, and anywhere else around the world. The churches are responsible to their local bishop. And we have to be careful of that as we enter into relationships, into partnerships with those churches, that they still have a reporting body. They still are governed. We need to respect the local church organization and planning. We don't decide what they need. They decide. We work with them. We help them. There's no room for paternalism. We are all in this together. We look for and support local leadership within the community. You know, in your church, there's lay leadership all over the place. It's how we get things accomplished in our parish. Well, it's no different anywhere else in our partner parishes. There is leadership there. We may have to ferret it out, but there's leadership there. We need to work with that leadership, not just the pastor. In the relationship, everything is on the table. Promoting transparency and accountability. As we work through projects, we're accountable to each other. That means they're accountable to us, we are accountable to them. In some cultures, that's not the norm. When you don't have a lot, it's easy to hold close what you have and not want to let it out. And some of the cultures, it's hard to break through that whole transparency thing. But that's important in the relationship. We have to be open, we have to communicate. And finally, on the bottom, there's many long-term problems that exist in our partner communities because of injustices and wars and conflicts and all those kinds of things. And through it all, we need to keep pushing in the right direction and trying to promote the justice. This is the goal of Catholic Relief Services and partnership communities, providing the framework. Prioritize community development. Prioritized is a big word. This picture that you see right here is our Haiti group, and I think, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, this is on your original trip to Jean-Denis, meeting with their parish council. And the idea of this whole meeting was about development objectives, about planning, about what are the priorities. And you know, that was the starting point to our relationship and what we can do for each other. I want to point out, too, the young lady that you see right in the middle of the photograph, she wasn't originally part of our group. When the folks from the team went down there, they found her walking on the road, and she told the story of how she was on a 3-hour boat ride tour and got into a storm, and the 7 people had crashed on the island, and there she was. I think her name is Ginger. Is that right? No, not really. Sarah has been part of our group from the very beginning, and she's a delightful young lady, and we all love her. I always give her a hard time every time I see her. So does Kathy. Okay, we establish a framework. At the start of the relationship, we need to understand each other. The third bullet. There might be a project, and probably is a project, if you start a partnership and a relationship with a sister parish somewhere, it's highly probable Catholic Relief Services has been in there doing something. It's highly probable some other church, some other organization, not a Catholic organization maybe, has been in there trying to help and do some things. There's already projects there and in motion. But be it known that the Catholic Relief Services has already done quite a bit throughout the world, and they're just looking for our help to do more. The first 2 bullets up here, and again, we're talking about a lot of communication and a lot of the get started. The first 2 bullets have to do with in-country, being there, working with the pastor, working with the community, defining the objectives. The last 2 bullets are when we come back home. And this is indeed what we did at St. John Vianney. I mean, these guys went down, they did their homework, they came back, and we sat and had meeting after meeting about trying to develop the priorities, create strategic planning, and Ann is great about beating on us every year about making sure the strategic planning is in place. And of course, the prioritizing of that and the fundraising goes right along with it. So there's work down there, there's a lot of work up here. You do tons of work up here. These might be the kinds of questions you would ask if beginning a partnership with your sister parish, probing questions. Why do you not have it already? More than likely, it's money. And that's why we're there, for the most part. There is usually sufficient talent and manpower in the community to get a lot of work done. In Jean-Denis, there's tons of people to do stuff. Well, we needed to build a kitchen facility down there, there was no problem getting construction workers to build the kitchen. There might be expert help needed, some engineering experts, there might be help in getting past some government regulations, or maybe they just need money. But there are resources, and we need to utilize those resources. If we are responsible to our parish community here, we need to be communicating with our parish about all aspects of our relationship, and each one of the partners needs to be communicating with each other. In today's world of electronic communications, that can be pretty easy. We are in regular communication with the pastor of Our Lady of the Rosary in Jean-Denis. He has a laptop computer. He emails us all the time. We have a couple of people in the committee who speak French and Creole, or French or Creole, and so we have the ability to have the wide open communication. And one interesting story that I heard the first time the group went down there to do their assessment, which I found I found this fascinating, that they were in the courtyard talking to a group of people. A gentleman had to excuse himself to go back into the woods to relieve himself. He did so. He came back out of the woods talking on a cell phone. Odd, but very true. And again, the communication's there, it can be there, so it can make that whole partner relationship a lot better because the communication is wide open. Just more communication, more feedback, more assessment. One of the things that Kathy and I learned, I think we learned it the very first evening that we arrived in Washington. We were having a little social get-together. And the very first thing was, there needs to be an exit strategy for any project that you have. You must have an exit strategy. There are things to think about when planning and executing a program. And just to give you an example, at St. John Vianney, we came up with the funds to build a food storage facility and a kitchen facility there in Jean-Denis. Now, we helped make this happen because the Bureau of Nutrition would provide rice and beans to feed the school children every day, and we're talking 500 to 600 school children, if the food storage facility was in place. So the storage facility had to be there before the food would come. Today, that project continues as the local women cook the meals each day. We help pay for some of that to happen, and at some point we'll get out of that payment. Build local capacity. It's their deal. They own the process. They make it work. We helped them get it going. Establish linkages. We came back a little bit later and decided we needed some more protein put into that food, so now we're buying some fish from Canada and some, what was the other thing? We're cooking oil and fish from Canada to supplement that food. So there's other ways you can add on to the project. But this is a partnership. Each partner shares in the responsibility. At some point, St. John Vianney will step completely away from that project. We'll have plenty of other projects to worry about, but we'll step completely away from that one as it gains course and keeps going. We are not doing for our partner community. Through our actions and our relationship, they are empowered to do for themselves with our help. We look long term, we look for sustainability.